Hello everyone, welcome to Willow's weather briefing. Today is Sunday, May 11th, 2025. Hope you are all having a fantastic day. We have a continuation of that excessive rainfall risk throughout the southeast, and also some concerns of severe weather in the mountainous regions of the northwest, as well as some heavy snow in the higher elevations. We also have the heat that is currently ongoing in the southwest and is going to make its way into the northern and southern plains, as well as some severe weather risk for the extended range this Thursday. We can see on satellite this closed upper level low is currently spinning, continuing to bring that Gulf moisture into already saturated soils in the southeast. We also have that disturbance causing some thunderstorm complexes in the northwest as well. Here is our drought monitor. It hasn't changed since last Thursday. Please pause the video if you want to know more. Areas of concern are demarcated in these lines right here. Looking at our surface map, we can see our hazards clearly defined. We have heavy rain and flash flooding possible in the southeast. We have a critical fire weather risk in the northern plains associated with a cyclone that's going to deepen in the northern Rockies. This is also going to be partially the cause of the severe weather up here due to this passing cold front. We also have snow in the northwest in the higher elevations. Day 2, our closed upper level low is going to continue to bring moisture. This moisture regime is going to slowly make its way up the east coast, bringing flash flooding risk up the eastern seaboard. We also have that surface low up in Canada, kind of staying stationary at the moment due to that upper level disturbance, mainly digging into the western U.S. rather than translating off to the east. Continuation of that snow in the higher elevations and rainfall in just east of the Rockies in places such as eastern Montana. Day 3, that low is going to continue to make its way up the eastern seaboard. Again, continuation of that flash flooding risk where that low is present, and also continuation of that low in the northern plains deepening, and that is eventually going to make its way off to the very northern plains into southern Canada to help with our severe risk here in the Midwest later this week. Looking at our excessive rainfall, we have a slight risk of excessive rainfall here in the southeast associated with that closed low. Day 2, that closed low is finally going to translate eastward, bringing a slight risk of excessive rainfall all across the United States. If you want to know more about the exact totals estimated for this event, you can go ahead and look at my previous video. Also, the slight risk is going to make its way northward towards eastern Virginia and far northeastern Carolina. Also have a marginal risk of excessive rainfall on day 4, which is Wednesday, associated with the continuation of that low-level cyclone. And it's going to make its way eastward, bringing a marginal risk of excessive rainfall over here in the boundary waters here in Minnesota, as well as areas westward. Looking at SPC's outlook, we have a slight risk of severe storms associated with some nice shear and upper level flow in Minnesota, as well as that cold front that's going to act as our forcing mechanism, and the surface cyclone acting to increase our low level support. Primarily, we are looking at wind and hail as our primary hazards, mainly wind associated with steep, low-level lapse rates, allowing for that downward transport of wind. We also have a risk of hail, sporadic, all throughout our marginal and slight risks over here in the southeast and northwest, respectively. Our day 2 risk, we only have a marginal risk here associated with our closed low here in the southeast. And primary hazards are wind and hail. No severe weather is expected on day 3, Tuesday. However, if you look at our day 5 risk, we have a severe weather setup upcoming for the Midwest to Great Lakes region, the mid-Mississippi Valley to the Great Lakes region. This is associated with a low-level cyclone that's going to park itself around southern Canada, very northern plains, and bring some low-level supports. Due to the thermodynamic profiles and kinematic profiles, I expect this is primarily going to be a hail and wind threat, though sufficient low-level curvature could be supportive of any tornadoes if any discrete supercells can form. The tornado threat, I think, is going to be confined to the earlier portions of the risk time frame, which is mainly going to be in the late afternoon time frames. More details on the severe weather risk will be upcoming. It is still kind of far out to really know exact specifics. That's why I'm not going to delve into too much detail, but people in these regions should be weather aware of any potential hazards, especially, in my opinion, large hail and wind. Looking at our heat risk, we can see the continuation of that heat risk down in the southwest. High temperatures well above 100 degrees expected here, and high temperatures up here in the northern plains expected to be around the mid-90s, I believe. Yeah, mid to high 90s now. This actually increased from before. Approaching 100 degrees up here in the northern plains at this time of year, which is extraordinarily odd. Definitely reaching some record highs here in cities like Fargo, Bismarck, Grand Forks. Very, very warm up here in the northern plains. The heat risk is going to continue and even strengthen in these same areas up here, again setting possibly record highs. Throughout the week today, on Tuesday, the heat is going to start building up in Texas. I know y'all are used to the heat down here, but for this time of year, it's still quite unusual to reach highs well above 100 degrees in these areas, such as San Antonio, San Angelo, Midland, Abilene, Austin. The heat up here in the northern plains is also going to continue as that ridge continues to bring warm air into areas in the northern plains. Midweek heat is going to start to deplete up here in the northern plains, but still continue to build up in Texas. Again, highs are supposed to be well over 100 degrees with multiple days of over 100-degree temperatures. This is why the heat risk is going to persist for a while with little to no relief for these areas. And also because of the eastward passage of this ridge, we're going to see a widespread mild heat risk for much of the eastern United States, with highs unusually warm for this time of year, up to the 90s and high 80s. Again, the heat risk is going to still migrate east due to the lack of relief in areas such as southern Texas. The heat risk is still going to just persist throughout the entire week. We will not see a day below 100 degrees highs in areas such as Austin and San Antonio, which is why we have this severe heat risk in this area. And again, Saturday, much of the same. Looking at our extended hazards, we have that heat risk in Texas, as well as the persistent heat risk up here in the northern plains and upper Midwest. We also have that flooding risk in areas such as the peninsula of Florida, up the eastern seaboard, up towards Washington, D.C. Looking at our models, we can see on the initialization, we have an upper level low bringing that moisture into the Gulf of Mexico, still incredibly persistent. See that ridge building in heat in the southwest and starting to build in heat up here in the northern plains. But as we move forward, we are going to see a troughing pattern start to come into the western U.S., which is going to bring additional snow to the higher elevations and additional thunderstorms into the lower elevations into the south, the northwest. This upper level low is finally going to start migrating its way eastward, bringing additional rainfall into the eastern United States, though this troughing pattern is going to continue to move eastward, causing low-level cyclogenesis. The low-pressure system at the surface is going to start to really, really start to deepen around midweek this week into the northern plains, which is eventually going to cause surface surface response into areas such as the Midwest. We're particularly looking at Thursday as the primary severe weather threat, and you can see clearly here we have a bunch of nice upper level flow associated with the polar jet up here, and the subtropical jet kind of coming together to bring a lot of upper level support. What we're looking for in synoptic, what we call synoptic large spatial scale support, is this divergence aloft, and you can see plenty of divergence aloft associated with these two jets in close proximity. That's why we were looking at this specific area in particular for severe weather. And this flow will just continue to impinge onto the area, possibly extending the severe weather threat eastward into the eastern Ohio Valley later this week. Looking at the surface, we can see plenty of moisture still making its way up the east coast over here. Plenty of active weather in the northwest, continuation of those scattered showers and snow showers in the higher elevations here. We will see some thunderstorm development today in Montana associated with this surface cyclone and passing cold front. We will also see some fire weather risk, the critical fire weather risk in areas such as the northern plains, because this cyclone over here, it isn't transporting moist southerlies, so there won't be any convection. That'll just be dry, very windy conditions, which is going to increase your fire weather risk here up to critical conditions in the northern plains. And that also certainly won't help with the amount of heat you guys are experiencing up there. So there will be a continuation of the meager surface response due to that upper level flow, continue to impinge on the Rockies, but this won't really move east and deepen further until Thursday, which is what we're kind of looking for our severe weather risk. As you can see here, pretty elongated, kind of double low pressure here. Because of the orientation of the trough, it isn't really focused surface cyclone development. So we are actually expecting, at least right now, the surface cyclone to be sort of elongated, but there's a primary lobe of low pressure, at least according to this model run in northern Minnesota, which actually might be a bit more conducive to severe weather as you get more low-level response over here in the Midwest. Our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook: above average temperatures for much of the southeastern United States, slowly getting cooler up here in areas such as the western United States as we get into mid to late May. Our 6 to 10 day temperature or precipitation outlook: above average for most of the United States except pockets of the southern United States and also the west coast. So that is going to be it for today's weather briefing. If you enjoyed, of course, leave a like, comment for any constructive criticism, and please subscribe if you want to hear more weather briefings in the future. Of course, if you want any specific information about your area, I highly encourage you to go ahead and listen to your local broadcasts or National Weather Service meteorologists. Thank you, and have a great day.